would savor food better? So this time I was thinking through different verses, kind of concepts. So this is a little bit different. They're from different industries and different backgrounds, and they've lived in different times. So here Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, on today, Sunday, 14 September 2025, ponder who would savor food better, Thomas Hobbes or Hubert Kós, including talking through a food item of a slice of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory. So I've decided to debut this one with the Thomas Hobbes or Hubert Kós in this order because one is deceased, so I'm putting deceased before alive. So Thomas Hobbes is deceased and Hubert Kós is alive. And Thomas Hobbes was 1500s, 1600s AD English philosopher, and Hubert Kós is an active Hungarian swimmer. And both had communication, or have, or I guess they both had and or have communication as part of their public image. And so for Thomas Hobbes, it was philosophy and thinking about thought and communicating about thought. And for Hubert Kós, it's, well, actually, what's the philosophy of a swimmer? You know, but also, you know, thinking about how he's raced and the meaning of the race, and then where something is being hosted, because Hungary does a bunch of hosting in sports. And so it's like, this is on par in terms of they think about what they've done. Okay. And what they've done includes thinking about them thinking, okay, and communicating about that. And so I was like, okay, a slice of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory. And I was like, I think there it would come down to a bit of writers are notorious for having rituals around their writing. And so I was like, if the eating of food is as ritualized as writing, then Thomas Hobbes may be able to savor a slice of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory. With Hubert Kós, there's a similar thing. There's a little swimming, however, is a bit of a splashy sport. So there might be, we don't want the cheesecake to like be flung, you know, like little cheesecake crumbs everywhere. I'm not saying that swimmers would do that, just there's a little bit of like muscle control on like, but when eating and savoring, once he eat it and savor it and not have it kind of spewed in different places, kind of like water maybe spewed while the swimmer swims. So I'd say and then also athletes are kind of notorious for eating food quickly. So who would savor food better? I think that depends on the ritualization of certain activities in their life and whether they could apply it to a slice of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory. So Hubert Kós, I think, could. I haven't seen the man in person even. Thomas Hobbes, I don't know, because there's also with those writers and philosophers are people who don't eat like they should. So that's a spectrum, and I haven't heard of his ritualization habits. So in that sense, I may lean towards Hubert Kós on this one. However, that does not mean that Thomas Hobbes would not. And Thomas Hobbes is somebody that, I think it was high school we covered the man and a number of philosophers. And I dressed up as John Calvin and stuff, like the guy who founded Presbyterianism. And we had to do like a skit in class, and it was about that time. So I think I was 14 or 15 years of age. We covered him in high school as part of the curriculum. So there we go. Who would savor food better, Thomas Hobbes or Hubert Kós?